Good morning, Christchurch. Today we're looking at Matthew 13, and I thought the best way to look at it is to look at it as though we were looking at a series of symbols. We are looking at the image of wheat and the image of weeds, and the man who sows his seeds only to find that the next day his enemy has sowed weeds amongst his field. And his servants ask him the next day the next time they shoot up from the ground with the weeds, what should we do? Should we take them all up? Should we take all the weeds up? And the man said, no, we will wait till harvest, and then we will take the weeds and burn them, and we will take the fruitful crop and put it in the barn. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to look at symbols. Jesus used parables as story symbols to make really hard ideas a lot easier to understand. For example, you all may recognize this, the symbol of the rainbow. Now, to us Christians, it could be the promise God made Noah to all of us about not flooding the world, but it could also mean that you support the NHS in these very, very strange times. Or the symbol of the cross. My son made this. It's a representation of our faith, but I suppose if you're a 7-year-old boy, you may also use it as a sword. I think it's allowed, forgivable. And so in the parable of the wheat and the weeds, we can look at the seeds as God's word, and we can look at the weeds as the not so good things in the world that separate us from God's word. There's so much to unpick really with this one, so I thought maybe we should play a game. If you have a bit of time, why don't you join me for the rest of the kids section? We'll be making a game and then playing it. For me, the fun is always in the making. Get your potato stamps to the ready. Good morning, Christchurch. Welcome to our activity for the children's session. We're going to play a game. What you will need is something green to work with. You could either make a potato stencil, like I'm going to do, which is why I need a knife, or you could just draw them, what we're going to do. A marker and a pair of scissors and some nice paper or not so nice paper for stencil making. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a game about Matthew 13, the wheat and about the wheat and the weeds. We're going to draw identical. You could either draw identical sheaths of wheat, or you could make a stencil like I'm doing, and it will save you time when it comes to the end. So just hold on a second and we will cut out our stencil. So some messy minutes later, I've got a little print here that I'm going to use to make my identical sheaths of wheat. I'm going to do 10 of them, and you'll find out what we're going to do next with them. So I'm just going to paint my stencil. Remember, if you don't want to use a potato, or you don't want to use a knife, there are going to be lots of people who might cut themselves. So get a grown-up to help you, or just draw them. Just draw these Lovely little sheaves of wheat, however you want to. We're not looking for perfection here. Okay, great. So I've just painted this in. I'm going to make 10 of these. Ooh, 1. Oh dear. 1. Great. 2. 3. May have to top up my paint. 4. 5, as identical as I can make them. 6. 7. 8. 9. Come on, potato, give me one more. 10. Okay, so here are my sheaves of wheat. Sort of identical, but also not really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the first one and then use it as a template to cut out the rest of them. And then we'll play our game. Ta-da! And just like that, as if by magic, we've got 10 little cards of the wheat shafts, and on the back of about half of them, say maybe 4 or 5 of them, I would like you to put an F there for those that will bear fruit, for example. The idea is that you can't really tell the difference between the weeds and the wheat until it's time for the harvest. And in the parable, the servants of the person running the farm won't be able to know really the difference between them until it's harvest time. So I thought, we don't know which ones are going to bear fruit, put F on half of them and then mix them all up. So on one hand, it's the fact that you don't know how people are going to be. You don't know the contents of their heart, so we don't really know, although we can tell a little bit by their actions. But also it's we in uprooting the evil, you might also take up some of the good weeds. So let's see how that might work in this game. I have no idea which one I'm going to pick, but maybe could I do it without disturbing the others? No, I can't. They all move around. They are all disturbed at some point. That was the idea. This one bears fruit and this one does not. But how would we possibly know if all we see are the weed and the shaft, and the weed and the wheat on the surface looking very similar before harvest? Have a go. You could do it with playing cards as well, if you don't want to make them. But there you have it, the parable of the weeds and the wheat. Have an amazing week and let me know how you get on with the game. I hope it's not too faffy.